Hello everyone, Tim Brown. Welcome to my iBooks podcast. With this episode, I'm going to focus on iBooks author. I'm going to provide an introduction to go over all the basic features. I have yet to publish a book in iBooks author, so if you're like me and you're contemplating some ideas for publishing a book, maybe you're thinking about adding some interactivity, multimedia, and you're in the brainstorming phase, kind of like me, this episode may be helpful. I'm going to cover all the basic features, including all the widgets that come with iBooks Author that adds to a range of interactive elements. So what you're looking at here is the title page. Now when you first open the application, you're prompted to choose a template. And so this is the template that I chose for this little sample project. Every template comes with the option to have this intro video. And you just simply drag your video file onto the stage and it now becomes your introduction. It's basically a video introduction. If you had a chance to download any of the textbooks that came out when iBooks Author was first introduced, you had a chance to see that firsthand. I also like this option here for a glossary. So if you're an educator and you're looking to add some vocabulary terms to enhance the educational value of your publication, this little feature really comes in handy. And there's a plus sign at the top left that gives you the option to add more chapters and or sections within each chapter. So you want to think about how you want to lay out your text or your images or your interactive elements. That's where you begin. Okay, the first basic feature is adding text. And again, it's just like Keynote. So the text widget or icon is up at the top there, and you just simply drag it to your stage. And depending on what template you choose, actually, you'll have text already positioned within the page. You just need to go in and format it. So right now, I'm going to the styles formatting to just show you all the different options that are at your disposal. Again, if you use Pages or Keynote, this is pretty fundamental. But this is just to show you, again, what's available to you when you're working with text, whether you're adding lists or bullets or what have you. And once again, just like in Keynote, in addition to adding text, you can also add shapes. So the shape icon is right next to the text icon. And you just simply import a shape, and you can format it the same way you would in Keynote or Pages by just using the inspector menu, the top right. Another feature, tables. You can insert a table anywhere within your document. If you have a use for that kind of thing, I probably will not use tables, but it's very easy to set up, and of course once you open up the inspector, you have all kinds of ways to make adjustments. You also have the option to add charts, and if you ever used charts before, you know that charts in Keynote are phenomenal, especially with the 3D effects. Visually, they're just outstanding. If you think you're going to have any reason to use charts in your publication in iBooks, this is definitely a very cool feature to use, and I would encourage you to use it if you have a need for that. Now the best part are the widgets. They have quite a range of widgets that come with iBooks. I'm just going to go ahead and just walk you through each one. Here you're looking at a photo slideshow widget. This basically allows you to add multiple images into one placeholder, and you can play a slideshow with your finger once it's published inside your book. And I'm going to show you later on how that looks. Okay, the next widget is the video widget. And again, it just places it right onto your page, becomes a placeholder, and you just grab your video file and drag it right into the placeholder. And you can actually play the video in place at this point without having to preview it on your iPad. And you really have to like the way the video plays almost seamlessly, as if it's just a gradual extension or natural extension from the photos and images that you use. iBooks Author also has a great quiz feature that you can add to the beginning or end of your chapters. If you want to add a little educational component, in this case it's a multiple choice selection or response to a question. I really think a tool like this could really come in handy, again, if you really have something educational in mind. Also, a really nice feature is Keynote presentations. That's actually a widget for Keynote. And I don't know about you, but I use Keynote all the time, especially when I want to create something with elaborate build-ins and transitions. This can really come in handy, and actually is a better alternative probably to the slideshow photo widget, where you're just advancing photos with your finger, although that's a nice option too. I just think Keynote just gives you that extra punch that you're looking for in terms of the added interactivity and visual attractiveness to your presentation. Now, another widget I can really get into is this interactive photo widget, which basically allows you to zoom in to specific sections of your image. So for example, let me go ahead and just drag one of the images that I have here in this folder, and you see there are two tabs on the surface. When you click one of those tabs, it will then prompt the user to zoom in to a certain section of that photo. And you can adjust where you want that section to be right here. You can move the slider back and forth until you have the right size of the zoom in, and then you click select view to choose it. Then you go back and do the same thing with the second tab. Use the slider down below to make any kind of adjustments that you want as far as how big you want the zoom in to be. And then when you're done, you click the select view, and then you now have two buttons that give you the option to zoom in two different sections of your photo. And I really like this feature a lot. Another great feature is the 3D object widget. This basically allows you to move an object around in 3 dimensions. If you're a developer, you can create your own. If you're not, you can actually import objects from Google SketchUp. So I actually found a sports car online, which I'm going to go ahead and drag right into this. And I can't show the interactivity now, but I'm going to show you the iPad view later so you can see what it looks like. And lastly, the remaining widget that's available is the HTML widget. And this widget is designed specifically for the dashboard widgets, and it must have the widget extension on the end for it to work. It's not flexible in terms of any kind of HTML you put in there. You may have widgets in your computer library. If not, you can go to dashboardwidgets.com and you can find a whole host of things available. So I just found one that's kind of like a fill-in space or fill-in form that I just added just for demo purposes, so you see what it looks like. Now, what's really nice about iBooks Author is that it has a preview mode, and you can actually preview your book on your iPad. So that's what I'm doing right now. It also has an export option too, to export as a PDF if you needed to review it or edit it through, third party, or you need several other people to look over your document before you finish it. You have that option as well. So right now I'm updating my book. That's what you're seeing right now. And then when that's done, I'm going to go ahead and then switch to a view where you can see my iPad as well, so that I can play back all the features for you so you can see the nature of the interactivity. Okay, let me go ahead and open my book here. There's the book title. And as soon as it opens, it plays that intro video that I showed you earlier. Okay, now moving through the pages, this was the added text feature that I showed you to begin with. And here is the feature adding shapes. Here's the feature adding tables. And there's the graph. Now here's the feature where you can swipe through each image and create this slideshow that's generated through swiping through your images. I really like that feature. And again, the video shouldn't be any surprise. It's just like it played in the draft. Now where this demo really comes in handy is with the 3D elements that I'm going to show you in a second. Here's the quiz. When you check the answer at the bottom, it'll tell you if it's correct or incorrect. So in this case, I knew the answer was, so the answer is correct. Here is the keynote presentation. Didn't have anything fancy set up in here in terms of animations. Instead, I just have it so that you can just tap on the slide to advance it. So again, very similar to the photo slideshow, but instead of swiping, you're just tapping. And here's that interactive viewer that I showed you where you could zoom in. That's exactly what it's doing. So you tap, it zooms back out. Tap the other tab, zooms back in, and tap again to zoom back out. Okay, here's the fun part. This is the 3D object, the sports car that I imported from Google SketchUp. And as you can see, I can use my finger and just twirl it around in 3 dimensions. I really love this feature, and if I could think of a reason to use it, I will definitely put it into my first book. I just think it's so cool. And then lastly, here's the dashboard widget. Again, you should have a lot of these already in your library. You obviously want to choose something that has more functionality to it. I just chose this just for demo purposes. But that's pretty much it. And that is my intro to iBooks Author. When I've had a chance to play around with it some more, I will definitely come out with a future episode where I can explore iBooks Author in more detail. Thanks for tuning in to my podcast. My name is Tim Brown. I'll see you next time.